It is your last day on Earth. What do you do? Welcome to Creative Contraband.
Welcome to How to Be a Better DM, the show that helps dungeon masters tell better stories and run more engaging games. This is Creative Contraband, where we take ideas from elsewhere and smuggle them into our craft to take it one step further. And remember, all of this is brought to you by Session Zero Studios.
Hello, dear listeners. Thank you once again for being here. For the ones who don't know me, my name is Daniel. You can call me Danny, and I have been a semi-professional artist for about a decade now. This is Creative Contraband. We take knowledge from other arts and smuggle them into our craft to become better dungeon masters. Today we are going to talk about a very special TTRPG, which is called Your Last Day on Earth. And I want to talk about it because I played it and it was a very intimate, emotional and cathartic experience. I really want you to not only experience the actual game, but maybe even see what you can learn from it to take to your table. So, this is a NanoRPG. It is, if I remember correctly, 1 page long. And it is by Heltung Storytelling. They have an itch.io page where you can find these and other works. Highly recommended. So, the title of this game is Your Last Day on Earth, a contemplative apocalyptic RPG log. The description says, the world is going to end in 24 hours and you are the last living human. It does not matter what happened, not anymore. What matters is what you are going to do next. Tell your story. I found this game in one of the bundles of itch.io and I read the prompt and I was instantly interested by it because it looked very, well, the title says it is very contemplative, and I love contemplative art and contemplative entertainment usually. So I downloaded the PDF, read it and decided to play it one of those days. It interested me a lot because it is kind of performative. We were talking about performative art in the last episode. And this game is basically a narrative journal. So you roll some dice, you make some decisions, you are given some prompts, and then with a voice recorder or maybe pen and paper if you want it, but I highly recommend going with the voice recorded, you get into the game. Basically, you are given prompts for every hour for your next 24 hours, the last 24 hours you will ever have. And for every hour, you have to imagine yourself recording what is happening. The prompts are not too specific, so you can decide. And you have to roll some dice to give context to the moment. So, for example, in the first hour, it is 12 o'clock, and it says you start your last day. The next hour at 1 p.m. says a flock of birds darkened the sky. Then at 2 p.m. you find a photo. So you can imagine what's going on around these prompts. And in the context, depending on the number you roll, you can get that the context is, for example, hopeful, trustful, or it is maybe amazing, or it is fading, fleeting, or you made a costly mistake, or you got a needed success. So maybe the photo was a success. What kind of success? Or maybe it was a mistake. Maybe the photo was something that made you feel very bad. And then, of course, when time goes on, The prompts get more intense because the end of the world is getting closer, and it gets all the more emotional and all the more intense. I was on the verge of tears many times during the game, and well, not only on the verge, I actually cried a good couple times. And it is that when you are faced to the end of the world and or the end of yourself, you start thinking about your priorities, your achievements, the important things in life, what is maybe missing, what your true feelings are under the weight of the day-to-day work and functioning. So it is very interesting. The game also suggests you to have a map of a city you know, and it suggests you to use 1 minute for every hour of prompt. So for the prompt of you start your last day, you use 1 minute, then for a flock of birds darken the sky, you take another minute. But the writer here also tells you that, I mean, you're alone. You can play this as you want and however it feels best. What I found that feels best for me is to let each of the prompts have its time if needed. Some of the prompts I got by them in 20 seconds or 30 seconds, and other prompts that really took me to an emotional place, I gave them 4 or 5 minutes. In the end, instead of 24 minutes of playtime, I had about an hour or an hour and a half. And that was great because it's 90 minutes of self-knowledge, of self-reflection, of going to places you usually don't go to. And I didn't use a map. I didn't go out in the city, which is also what other solo games suggest. I only went to places in my house, and I went to the balcony, I looked outside, I stared a little bit and thought about stuff. I went to different places inside my home and worked with what I had there. Of course, because I have been living with my spouse here for about 6-7 years now, the place is full of emotions and memories, and I had lots of triggers to play with. Now, why a voice recorder specifically, and why do I think this is such a special experience? It's because usually saying stuff out loud is way more powerful biologically and psychologically. It's way more powerful than imagining it. And this game in particular is a very interesting exploration of all these things. I have seen other similar games that I haven't quite liked as much, but I think, first of all, this is a very good experience. This is a very fun game to play. Actually, this is a very interesting game to play. But it can also teach us some stuff if we want to learn from it and maybe apply stuff to our D&D table, which I know is the reason why many of you are here. So I want to talk about how TTRPGs are used in therapy nowadays, because for the last 15 or 20 years, games like Dungeons and Dragons have been used in therapy constantly by professionals. And this solo TTRPG is probably one of the biggest expressions of what we can learn about how to use TTRPGs. Of course, not necessarily in therapy, because most of you are probably not therapists, but about how we can approach emotion and experiences at our table with our players. So, why are TTRPGs used in therapy, and what do they do that we can include at the table? So first, TTRPGs are amazing for safe emotional exploration. If you have ever watched Critical Role or Dimension 20, you probably know this already. Things can get very emotional in a safe setting, and that is very valuable because usually, because of how this postmodern life works, we don't have normally lots of time to explore our emotions especially in a safe place. Sometimes we feel anger at work, or we feel frustration. Maybe we are in a traffic jam and we feel very frustrated. Those are not safe environments to let all of those emotions flow. So TTRPGs let us do that. TTRPGs are also amazing for identity exploration. We can learn a lot about ourselves, what we like, what tropes we like, why we like them, what kind of characters we choose and why, what races, what classes are our favorites. For example, I know that I have always liked the same classes or the same archetypes, let's say, since I was very little. I even know about trans people who have decided to transition or that have discovered that they are transgender because of tabletop role-playing games, of D&D, because one day they decided that they wanted to play a character that was of another gender, and that was the gateway that let them know many years later, of course, that they actually felt way more comfortable with that other gender. TTRPGs are also very good for emotional regulation, which is not the same as emotional exploration. Actually, the example I gave about the traffic jam is probably better here as emotional regulation. We can feel rage, we can feel sadness, we can feel hopelessness, or we can translate some of those feelings that we bring from the outside world into the table and, open the gates and let all those feelings flow and then feel way lighter to be able to keep going on with life. You can also practice and learn lots about teamwork. People solve problems together as a team, and that's also very valuable. Today, lots of companies use TTRPGs to learn that kind of stuff. You can also develop empathetic skills. Your empathy can be enhanced by the interactions that occur in the sessions. And of course, TTRPGs are great to lower your stress. So, that's why they are using therapy. As you can see, they have lots of benefits, and you can include all of these at your table. Always, of course, remember that we are not professionals. Maybe some of you are, but but most of us are not. We have to be careful. We have to communicate about these things with our table. That's why safety tools exist. You also probably want to do some debriefing afterwards. You want to talk about it. Communication is key, but you can take away all these benefits for you and your table if you are careful. And once again, I highly recommend the TTRPG Your Last Day on Earth by Heltung Storytelling. It is a very, very good game. It is definitely one of my top 3 solo TTRPGs and definitely one of my top 2 NanoRPGs. So I highly recommend it. You can go to itch.io and download it. It is free. The link is down below in the description. And it would probably help the publisher a lot if you leave a comment. And yeah, hope you enjoyed the game as much as I did, because I really, really enjoyed it. And that's it. Thank you once again for being here. Hope you have a great week, and we will see each other next Monday. We are going to have another interview before the season is over. We don't have many episodes anymore, but we will have at least one more interview, and we are going to leave some others for the 3rd season. We are going to keep exploring psychology in the next episodes, and we are also thinking with the team about making on-demand episodes or let you choose the topic through our Patreon. So if you are interested in that, leave a comment below or join the Discord, let us know, and we will be sure to take your opinion into account. So, have the best of weeks, thank you very much, and see you next Monday. But until then, let's Roll initiative.
This is Creative Contraband, brought to you by Session Zero Studios.